Hey, Scott.
Hey, Rebecca.
Welcome to Hardy Party 5.5.
Well, thanks.
It's pretty early here in Texas,
It's pretty early.
but Hardy Party 5.5 is going international.
That's right. International, baby.
We have an interview from Austria today. Her name is Kati Beierl, and she is a bobsledder. She was in the Olympics, the Beijing Olympics, and she is full of fascinating information. And I just thought she was so delightful. Of course, it's 1:00 in the afternoon. I'm pretty delightful at 1:00 in the afternoon.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I've learned is that Austria is 7 hours ahead of us.
Right.
So we get up pretty early to make sure we could make this happen.
Yeah. I really think it's kind of fun, our interviews with the Olympians that we've had, just learning about, they all have one thing in common, the food in Beijing they don't tend to love.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, so far that's a commonality. We still have one more to interview, but I'm telling you, you'll learn a lot today on this interview with Kati, the bobsledder from Austria. Hope you enjoy it. So you grew up in Austria, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up there? Like winter sports, just a part of your daily life there, always growing up?
It's not daily life. Like I now live in Innsbruck, but I grew up in the eastern part of Austria, a small village close to Vienna, which is no mountains. But nevertheless, with like 3 years old, my father took me to the mountains 1 hour away and I had to learn skiing. So it's definitely a big thing. It gets lower the last years because it also gets way more expensive. And so therefore it's quite hard. But when I used to go to school, we had I attended 2 or 3 skiing weeks, just like where the whole class with the teachers are going skiing and you can like learn ski, or you just go in the advanced class, which is like also helping to do so.
Do you spend the night on those? Like it's a spend the night 2 or 3 weeks, or you go home and go back, or it's like an overnight camp?
It's in a hostel, like for a week or 5 days.
Oh, okay.
With the bus, and then you're just going skiing.
Yeah. How old were you when you were doing that?
I think the first time was with 11 or 12, and then 13, something like this.
All right. Yeah.
I have grown up in Austria.
No, I know that sounds fun.
Oh,
We have to travel here. I mean, we go skiing almost every year in Colorado, and it's 12 to 14 hours.
yeah. There's nothing in Texas that, yeah.
Yeah. So we have to drive a little bit.
That's what I expected. I was surprised that I got a few weeks ago told that you can ski in Australia. So I would be very impressed now if you can go skiing in Texas too.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could ski in Australia.
Me neither. They have some people that do this. They have some white sands here. There's an area, just a very small area of Texas, that has like some white sands that people like surf on.
Yeah.
But there's no skiing. But it's hot.
But today we're supposed to have snow, which is weird.
It's supposed to snow here today. Yeah.
Is it snowing there?
No, we had we had a very sunny week, no rain, no snow. And now it's like 6 to 7 degrees. So it's quite unlikely that it will slow down to the.
Yeah.
But it's also like super dry, which is like causing us some problems already. So
yeah.
A lot of snow to nothing. It's like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We usually get snow like once a year. And if we get snow today, it'll be like the 3rd time this year, which is weird.
It's weird, yeah. We've switched weather with Austria.
Right, exactly.
So I read that both of your parents were in track and field, like world-class track and field. So did you try that when you were a kid? And how did you end up into bobsledding?
Yeah, so like my mother, she was a hurdler, but then she switched to long jumps for the Seoul 88 games. because the limits were too high in hurdling. My dad was a hammer thrower, and I grew up on the track and field area. So the real training I started with 6, which is like in the children's group. Most of the time you just play games and compete against each other, which then led myself to be a hurdler. But I stopped because I went to like a tourism school. So in Austria, you can learn a job while you go to school, and you still get like the grade that leads you to university if you want to. So it's quite a good system. But it was like 5 times a week for 10 hours. So from 8 to 5, which was too long. So I stopped the track thing. And then I moved to Innsbruck when I was 19 to start my law studies. And I wanted to go back to the track and field crew, but I didn't really like it there. And they were like, yeah, if you don't like it here, then go to the bobsledders. They're always looking for someone. So next day I called the national coach and somehow scouted myself and started piloting a sled the same year.
Okay, no, we know nobody that somebody says, go be a bobsledder.
Yeah.
Just go be a bobsledder. That doesn't happen here in Texas.
It doesn't seem like an option here.
Definitely not an option. But that is so cool. And also, are you like super competitive with your parents? Are they like, do you guys play games and it's like everybody seems like an athlete? Is it hardcore or no?
With my parents, I don't play too many games, but with everything I do where it's against each other, I'm very competitive. So I don't like losing too much.
Yeah, you go all out.
Not the easiest always.
Yeah, we have 3 boys and they're 23, 21, and 19. So it's always pretty competitive here at our house, for sure.
And it can get physical too.
Yeah, physically competitive.
Yeah.
Okay, how did your family bathroom inspire you to become an Olympian?
Yeah, I said this in some interview. Now it's out in the internet. My mom, as she was 1988 in the Seoul Olympics, she used to hang her certificate. I mean, she just became 21st because she fucked up her first 2 jumps. But I just remember that her certificate was hanging on the toilet. So everyone who was going into the flat, because when you go to the toilet, you'll see that one. And so I was like, okay, Olympics, it was always a pretty big thing in our family. So
yeah,
that's not inspiring me because like I would have done this way anyways, because there was always as a goal, but it's a fun thing to tell, I think.
So what are you going to hang in your bathroom for your children?
I don't have any Olympic certificates because now you just get one when you are better than 8. So maybe I can get this one in Italy, I'm 2026.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what do we have? What would we have hung in the bathroom to inspire our children?
We have a softball championship shirt.
We won softball league one time.
Yeah.
Very local. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few things we wanted to know about Austria. So we're going to ask you about Austria, and you can ask us about Texas. Hopefully we can answer.
Have you been to Texas?
No, I've never been.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Rebecca, why don't you go first?
I just want to know, like, what are the most popular foods in Austria? Like you've come in, you've been out of the country, and you want some comfort food from your place. What do you get?
It's definitely Wiener Schnitzel.
Okay.
Also, like when we came home from China, the food was not too good there. The first thing everyone wanted was like Schnitzel, and it's also a big thing for me. So sometimes when we're in the season, we cook by ourselves, and then like once a year we make some Schnitzel. The last time we did it in France, and we made like 60 or 70 Schnitzel and feeded the Monegas team and our coaches, and everyone is like liking it because there are some places where you can get it out of Austria, like in Germany, but they're not very good most of the time. So this is like really good just in Austria, I would say.
Oh, that's funny. We had Ashley Caldwell on, who did aerials in Beijing. She was telling us the food was terrible in Beijing also. She agrees with you. She wanted a cheeseburger and a beer when she got back to the United States. But my sister-in-law is from Germany, and she makes a schnitzel.
I'm not as cultured as y'all. Remind me what schnitzel is.
Isn't it like you tell us? I'm not going to guess.
Like very thin meat. You like punch it until it gets very thin, and then you put breadcrumbs and egg over it, and you just like deep fry it somehow.
Okay. Anything deep fried, it's going to be good, right?
I need to try schnitzel now.
Okay, we'll try to make that.
But like it has to be very thin, and the oil has to be hot. But it's like it's not too hard if you just make the schnitzel very thin. But this is the most common mistake of the people.
What kind of meat is it?
Oh, you can choose. The original is veal, But
Oh.
I don't really like pork too much. The most of the time you get it with pork because it's cheaper. I do it with like just some poultry, either it's chicken or something else. That works.
Okay, we're gonna do it.
Okay.
We got this. Okay, so I've always been obsessed, and you know this, of like staying in a European castle. So have you been to one? And I mean, what was it like? Do you have castles around Innsbruck that you've
Yeah,
gone
we have
to?
a lot
Yeah.
of castles. I've never stayed in one, to be honest. It's not quite common. It's also
Yeah.
like very comfortable. Like they're pretty cold and there's not much like nice things in there. But like Vienna is like the most famous ones, the biggest ones, the nicest ones, if you ask myself. So I've been a lot of times to some castles doing like showing my friends from abroad how it looked. We have a lot of this still in Austria.
Yeah. So
Okay,
when we go to Austria, I'm staying with her while you sleep in the
I'll find an
castle.
old vet castle.
Because I'm not going to sleep. She sealed the deal for me. I've always thought cold and wet, and she is.
So that's what I want to. I want like how they lived back then.
Okay.
Experience.
I'll go learn how to make schnitzel with Kati.
I don't want to see how they lived. It's not like they just put all their things on the toilet from the toilet out of the street. So stuff.
Yeah. Just for a weekend, though.
No.
Not forever.
Okay. Is there anything you've ever wanted to know about Texas?
How can you handle the heat? That's what I'm asking.
You kind of get used to it, and
thankfully we have air conditioning.
I mean, well, I don't know how it would handle it if you don't, but there's just a certain month out of the year, at least month, maybe 1 month, that you just don't spend a lot of time outside. Well, I don't.
I think it's July, August where it's pretty brutal. Yeah.
I mean, that you stay inside. That's how you handle it. You play a lot of board games and do a lot of puzzles because it's just too hot. Or you have to wait and go out when it's super late in the evening and the sun goes down, but then you've got mosquitoes. So it is a little.
There was a stretch not too long ago. We had like 90 days of 100 degrees.
90 days.
In a row. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was staying inside and hoping your AC could handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. If your AC breaks, you're toast. Literally.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But we've lived here for a lot of years, so I guess we're just used to it.
Okay, yeah, because I can't imagine this. I mean, it's also like the summers in Austria is like up to 39 degrees Celsius. And the bad thing is that nobody in Austria has air condition. Like wow. So maybe this is what it makes hard.
Yeah. You don't live in Texas without air conditioning.
I've never figured out how the pioneers moved out here with no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to stay here?
Used to it.
Yeah.
But that's probably why they look so rough all the time.
They're in the elements all the
time. We have a son that lives in Colorado a lot. He does whitewater raft guiding and he skis a lot. He works at ski resorts and he just cannot hardly stand being in Texas because there's nothing to do and it's so hot. He's always got to get to the mountains or a river somewhere so he can go be courageous and energetic and all the things.
Yeah. So bobsledding, what kind of training do you do? Like take us through a typical day. How do you do this?
Yeah, the normal summer week just consists of a lot of weightlifting and squats. All like Olympic weightlifting are basic disciplines followed by deep squats. So a lot of explosive strength training, but also some high quality sprint training. So we don't go longer than 100 meters because we just run between 40 and 50 meters on the track. And we can't practice sliding in summer because there is nothing that you could do. You can go down summer bobsleigh, but it's just for tourists. It's not like the real actual steering. So what we do have are some push tracks, which is just like rails down some hill. And you push there the sled, jump in, and then it goes back up again. And that's how you can practice to start. But basically, it's just weightlifting and sprints.
Yeah. So you just practice just your takeoff on that thing that just goes back up.
Yeah, which is like the going back up is just that you stop. So we can practice start on kind of close sled to how it looks in the winter and the timing and everything, which is especially important for the foreman because they have to have coordination to get in. But this is you go most of the time it's 3 times of weightlifting, 2 or 3 times of sprints, and then once pushing a week.
Yeah. So lots of squats.
Yeah.
Lots of squat. That explains why bobsledders, they all have like
They have huge legs.
huge
Yeah.
legs, like tree trunks for legs. Because you just do squats all the time.
You need to accelerate that at least 170 kilo sled. So
Wow.
Because your start is the most important thing, right? Like it really dictates to a large degree how you're going to do on that run.
Really? Is that true?
yeah, you say it like depends. It varies a bit from the track, but you say 1/3 is the start, 1/3 is the material, and 1/3 is the driving skills of a pilot. And what you lose in one of these, it's like very unlikely that you can get it back in one of the other.
Oh, okay.
So when you get to a track, you get to like do some test runs of the track, so you kind of know where the curves and what line to take.
Yeah. So in most of the European tracks, you are in the lower race series, the Europa Cup, before you go into the World Cup. Europa Cup, you have way more of sliding in a week. And a typical World Cup week is now with COVID, we slide 3 runs on Tuesday, training runs. Then we have Wednesday off, Thursday another 3 runs, Friday off, because we have to do a lot of runner preparation, like polishing the runners for hours. And then we have Saturday, Sunday race. And on Monday, we travel. But before the season starts, you also do training weeks where you can do like 6 runs a day if there is enough ice time, just to get used to the runs. And this is also why you can't be a total beginner and a good pilot, because it takes a lot of experience to slide down the sled in different conditions and different tracks.
So what is polishing the, what do you say, polishing the rails?
Runners.
Runners. What is that?
Oh yeah, the runners are the metal parts that connect the sled with the ice that we're sliding
Oh, okay. And you just,
and they have to be very shiny, very clear, no scratches in. And first we sand them with sandpaper by hand, and then we polish them a long time with different pastes and stuff like this. Everyone has his own secret about it somehow. But it's like for every race about 3 to 4 hours, and we have 2 races per weekend.
So you're polishing for 3 or 4 hours?
yeah. This is your up. This,
So
this is your upper body workout. Is polishing these things. Like,
oh, no, you're just standing there with the machine like this. For
the machine does it. Okay.
Oh, it's not like no,
not like a surfboard.
Okay, how often do you have to trade those out? Like the whole rail? Like what's it called? Is it a rail?
A rail, yeah.
Yeah. How often do you have to trade that out?
how
runner. Runner. Is it a runner?
Runner.
Runner.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, do you have to take them off of the bobsled and put on new ones?
Yeah, we have a different sets of runners with us. Like I'm traveling currently with like 6 or 7 sets. They are also quite expensive, so it takes some time that you get these back. And you have them, and depends on the track and the temperatures, the ice conditions. You choose different runners that you try out in training, and then you decide and polish them in the garage.
Is that part of the 3 runs on that day process? Like when you get the 3 runs, you try different runners?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
So one thing I've always wondered in watching the bobsledding, there's grooves that start forming. Is that a problem if you're lower? If you're not at the front of the pack as far as getting to start, the grooves mess you up as people have sledded on it?
You mean the ones at the start that are really deep, or like?
Yeah, and are there any like within the track? Are there any grooves that have started developing?
Yeah. This is really depending on the track and the temperatures. Yeah. Like in Beijing, it was very dry and the ice was in good conditions. So for the monobob and for the 2-man competitions, there was no disadvantage for later start numbers. For the 4-man, there was, because they have way more ice breaking underneath their runners. Yeah. But this is uncommon in mostly European tracks. We have more humidity. So the earlier your start number, the better it is, except from St. Moritz in Switzerland, which is the only natural track. So they build it by hand every year, no refrigeration. And they don't put water on it. Like normal tracks are watered before the race. And they just put like some dust of water on. So it's like quite harsh when you go over. So the first sleds are making it smoother and smoother. And if you have like start number 15, 16, it's perfect.
Oh wow. Okay. So it's the opposite of what you thought, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So for 6 years, you have partnered with Jennifer. What is her last name? Onosanya. What is your relationship like with her? Like, what does she mean to you?
Yeah, like without her, I would not have to be able to achieve the good results that we had. Sometimes we were fighting, sometimes we were friends. It's like the whole time together. She moved to Austria last year to train for the Olympics. Now she moves back to Holland because she's originally from the Netherlands. Yeah, without her, their start wouldn't be as good as it was.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Okay. And how is she about your age as well?
She's the same. Yeah, she's also 28.
She's the same. Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool.
Okay, so this is your second Olympics, right?
Yeah.
So how was Beijing? What were some unique challenges with Beijing? Because we heard it all. We heard a lot of it on the broadcast. But what for you as an athlete? What were some of the tough things that happened?
Besides the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like also compared to Pyeongchang. For us, Pyeongchang was already far away in Asia, and none of the people can come. In Europe, it's like even in Sochi in Russia, there were a lot of family friends coming and watch and had an understanding of the sports. Like in Pyeongchang or in Beijing, I mean, Beijing, there were no visitors allowed, but in Pyeongchang, there were nearly as less visitors at the skiing races than they've been here. And for us, like as an Austrian, it was quite hard to see Marcel Hirscher, our most famous skier, win his first gold medal with like 800 people watching, where in Austria would be like 70,000 in
Oh, wow.
He's winning. So Pyeongchang was quite cool. Also the first time going in the opening ceremony, all this stuff. I didn't do this in Beijing because I got COVID before we left. So
yeah.
I had problems that my CT scores were too low. My girls were flying already on Friday, and I had to wait till Tuesday until I could go with another plane. And next day was already training. So I decided to keep it as less stressful as possible. Didn't go to opening or closing ceremony. For me, Beijing was just like totally reduced to sliding and doing the things around. There was not really so much of an Olympic feeling as it was in Pyeongchang. And this is probably the only reason why I really want to go 4 more years to have it in Italy. Like it's 2 hours away from Innsbruck.
Yeah, you can drive it down.
Great.
That's crazy.
Just to have that experience with the whole, like the social part and other athletes. And
everyone was scared to get COVID. Like there was not too much interaction with other athletes. You try to stick together with your team. Also in our team, we had to separate because we had another COVID case in Beijing. So the boys were staying in the hotel. We also stayed in a hotel for 10 days before we moved into the village. You see other people in the dining hall, but there's not much of interaction because like everyone was scared to get COVID.
Yeah. And did you have a little bit of comfort knowing you had just had it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But it was still, the tests are so sensitive. The Austrian Olympics doctors, like, we gargled with whiskey and Listerine every morning before we took the daily test, because they said it could still be possible that they find some virus. So we were quite scared of every test, but not that we could get it again. Yeah.
Wow. Was that the big group message every day? Was everybody's testing and everybody's good?
No, it's like you can go testing between 7 in the morning and 11 in the evening. So just go there, and if you don't hear anything, you're fine.
Well, that's so stressful.
I travel and do a lot of corporate shows. So this year when I've gone, we have to take COVID tests a lot. And I understand that, like, you're pretty sure you don't have it, but you don't know. But it's just those 15 or 30 minutes where you have to wait. And I'm just like, I don't have to go home. I don't have to miss this work. So I can totally sympathize with those feelings. You get a little anxious of, oh, please don't let me test positive.
Yeah. It'd probably be worse if you had trained for the Olympics.
Well, yeah, if I had spent 4 years training, that would be a lot worse. But
maybe so.
I can kind of understand those feelings. So please don't test positive.
Okay, so what is so cool about you is that, I don't really think about Olympians, people in the Olympics having actually other jobs. You just, in our mind, we're just like, well, they're a softball player or they're a bobsledder. Like that would be your job. But you actually have a job, and you're a police officer in Austria, and you were named Police Athlete of the Year. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes, Police Athlete of the Year in 2021. So that is so cool. Tell us about that. We don't have that here. I thought that would be kind of cool to have here. So what's the connection there?
Yeah, it's like, I wish I could do just bobsleigh, but there's like the money, like it's just paying into it. A sled costs 50,000 euros, excluded the runners, and you need 2 of it. So there's pay for. I have good sponsors and I'm very grateful for them. But for my daily living, I have the police on my side. I was at the military them 2 years before. You have that also in the US. You can be as an athlete at the military, but then you have to serve also. We don't have to. For me, my life at the police is kind of easy. I go 5 weeks in police school per year, and the rest I get money to do bobsleigh.
Oh, okay.
And when they need me for some representative stuff, I'm there. And it was a big honor to get awarded last year after we won the overall World Cup and the European Championship bronze. They said like, yeah, you're it. It was quite cool. Also, this ceremony was with a lot of COVID stuff surrounded, so we couldn't celebrate.
Yeah.
It was a big honor for me.
Yeah, that is really super cool. What is police training like for you? Like, to get in, to get in it, did you have to do something particular? And I know you said you have 5 weeks now.
Yeah, the testing to get in is harder than the school itself. I mean, I can just speak for the sports class because the normal police students, they have it for 2 years. Every day is a full-time job. They have to do way more than me. For me, it's 5 weeks for 5 years every year. To get into it was quite hard. So they also had to get a language test, psychology, all this stuff. I think it's like everywhere. And when I'm in, it's like for me, 4 weeks of just sitting in the classroom and studying. It's easy in my case because most of it I've learned at university already, my law studies. And then it's 5 days of technical training. So like shooting a gun and how to get into rooms without hurting yourself, stuff like this.
Yeah, that's so cool. What made you want to be, why did you pick police officer over like other things you could have done?
Basically, if you want to do sports and live from it, there's military or the police. And for me, as I study law, it's something for later on. At the military, you're there, you get your contract annually. At the police, I have 5 years, and then I can work at the ministry as some law stuff. So this is like a way better perspective than somewhere else. Yeah,
that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you do like to just unwind and recharge your mind? Because you're obviously training a lot. So what do you do just to relax your mind and your body? And what's something fun you like to do?
I'm sleeping a lot.
Hey, that's like you.
Well, we're best friends already.
But sometimes when the training gets hard, it's also hard to find sleep in summer, like sometimes in August when there's like the peak of the hardness of the training. I do a lot of work with my sports psychologists. I have 3. One is like really some breathing techniques and stretching and feeling your body, getting back to this. It's really relaxing. Then I do some biofeedback because I have some migraine problems where you just measure your heart rate or the temperature of your fingers or here, and you really try to manipulate it, and then you calm down. This is what most of the time I do. Then in summer, if it's not too hot, I go outside. But it's also like hiking is not too good for our training because it's like long endurance stuff. It should be just short and not too exhausting. So some rivers we go in the summer to, or like a reading, but it's pretty packed with training, sleeping, and studying.
Yeah, I bet. So how much more schooling do you have?
I have studying, you ask? Or
yes, how much more studying? Yeah.
I have 3 big exams left and then some smaller stuff. So it should be like 2 years if everything's good, and then I just do university in summer, obviously, because in winter I'm gone.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Okay, are you a Mandalorian fan?
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I've been looking at Grogu the whole time.
Grogu's right over your shoulder there. Grogu?
I couldn't understand you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I said,
are you a Mandalorian fan?
Mandalorian, the Star Wars show?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I've been looking at Grogu.
Do you watch that show?
No, I just got it for my birthday and everyone really loves it. I tried to watch it, but I'm not really into the Mandalorian. But he's fun.
I'm really into it, and I'd imagine that Grogu is holding up that bike with his mind. He's so cute.
That's hilarious. Yeah, he's a big Mando fan. Then you don't have any idea. You don't watch the show?
No, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's so funny. He's been a part of this entire interview. He's been watching us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always sitting there, like he's watching everyone who's.
That's so
funny.
He sees everything.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Like, what are you doing the rest of the day today?
Oh, I'm studying and sleeping.
Yeah.
So the next week is quite easy. So with the physio, stretching, not really training. Then I'll see. I have not really planned much. I go back to the police school at the 19th of April. I have
Okay.
an exam end of April, so I'll just basically study most of the time, I think.
When you're
And
in the
then-
police school for 5 weeks, you are studying for your university as well at the same time.
Yes. I also I have to get 1 day off to drive to Innsbruck, 5 hours, and take my exam. But this is not a problem. Like, they really want me to finish the university, and because it's like exactly what they are doing. And maybe I'll do some more vacations before or after this. I will make an easy season next year. I have a lot of problems with my back and my knee. Got knee surgery last year as well.
Okay.
And we have to let this stuff heal. So normally I would start training 1st of April again for the next season.
Right.
But it's it needs some time of rest so that my inflammation of the back and of the knee can just get out of my body, and then I can train properly again. And also my start times should be better after that.
Yeah. Wow.
So you are planning for the next Olympics there, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. I need to find a new brakeman to have a fresher and newer team. And if everything goes like this, I will continue to go, because it's I said, there's still chances that the track will not be built in Italy. So then it's Innsbruck, which would be you can't slide home Olympics.
Oh, that would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I could train to be a brakeman. You tell me what you need. I got your back.
You
He's a very fast sprinter.
We both like sleep.
Are you a sprinter?
No, but we both suffer with migraines.
Yeah.
So we're we're good friends already. So we just thank you so much for just taking time to interview with us. I just appreciate you from way far away. I'm so excited. We went international today, and we know that you had to take time out of your day for this from all your studies. And we appreciate you taking time with us today, Kati.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Scott, did you not just enjoy that interview with her?
I really did. I learned a lot about Austria and bobsledding and police force.
Yeah.
And university. It was just so fascinating.
Yeah. And also her favorite food, which was kind of cool, because that's
Schnitzel.
That's what Sylvia cooks a lot.
Yeah, your sister-in-law.
Yes. So I thought that was super fascinating. I'm gonna be real honest. As much as Sylvia has cooked us schnitzel, I thought it was a noodle.
I did too. You always described it as a noodle, and when Kati said she described it, I'm like, oh,
it's a meat.
I thought it was handmade noodles.
I did too.
So see what we learned.
Yes.
See what you can learn on Hardy Party 5.5.
Yeah. Well, maybe most people knew that already. I don't know.
Well, I didn't.
But what I didn't know was that those runners, I didn't know they had to polish them so much
for 3 or 4 hours in
before
between
each race.
That's crazy.
Or each run.
Yeah.
And then they tried different ones. I thought that was kind of interesting. I likened it to Drew has 2 or 3 different pairs of skis. So he will try different ones, or in certain conditions he uses different ones, because that's kind of what she said was when you see the conditions where you were going, you make decisions based on that.
Well, in race car driving, they have different tires depending on the track as well.
Do?
Or if it's been raining, they use a different type of tire. And
I didn't realize that.
So, and I also learned that when we go visit her in Austria, I'll be in the castle by myself, cold, wet, and damp, but enjoying every minute.
Okay.
And you will be eating schnitzel with Kati.
And learning how to be her brake person.
Right.
Right.
You got to work on the sprints, though. That's not really your strong suit.
Can I just be in there and she pushes us off?
I don't think you're going to win anything that way.
Girl, push faster.
Make her do all the work.
What are you doing back there?
I could be your mother. Push this thing.
No, there's no way I could run and jump. I feel like when she said they practice, my first thought was how they practice. Honestly, my first thought was you could practice this in a moving vehicle. I would do that.
In a moving vehicle? What do you mean?
Put your car neutral, put it right here on the edge of this little hill, and just push it and jump in.
Okay.
Would you
sounds dangerous, but
would you jump in the window or the door? Would you open the door and jump in, or would you just go through the window? Would you Dukes of Hazzard it?
Or would you just go through the back? Would you just crawl through from the back hatch to get to the front?
There's no way I could crawl that fast. We'd crash into something. I could jump into a moving car, I feel like.
We need to let the neighbors know that we're practicing so they can move all their cars off the street.
Off the street.
Yeah, and make sure the kids are indoors. So this is our first step into bobsledding. We're going to put the car in neutral and we're gonna go down the hill. This is gonna be great.
It's gonna be good. Let's try it today.
We are gonna train, and we're gonna be in Italy, or she even mentioned it could be in Innsbruck.
Yeah.
So we might be there competing.
That's
so
right.
we may not be as friendly the next time we meet.
Watch out for us.
Right.
Do you know what that a car has that a bobsled does not have?
Air conditioning? I don't know. I guess in a bobsled you don't normally need air conditioning.
It has a gas pedal,
Oh yeah.
which will be
A
gonna
combustible engine.
it's gonna be problematic when we are trying to like make a bobsled. If we did this,
This
in a
is just our
bobsled,
training.
we would stall out on a track. We would just like slowly come to a stop on a bobsled track. It would be so slow going. I don't know.
I think we need to watch Cool Runnings, and that's going to help in our training.
Definitely. All right, research.
Yeah, we might want to reconsider the whole car thing until we watch that movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Until
but
then,
it's on the board. It's a
on the
possibility.
board. Right. It's
Yeah.
on the board. But first, let's take a nap.
That's a good idea.
All right. Hardy Party 5.5 over and out.
We'll see you next time.